Hello, RWorld. Welcome back to another episode of RWorld Talk. This morning, we are with Meredith Cruz from Cruz Public Relations. Welcome, Meredith.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Meredith, you have a role as the lead for public relations for the new Jupiter Bridge replacement project.
Yes.
Exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How did you become involved in that project?
So I've been a consultant to the Department of Transportation, the Florida Department of Transportation, for over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So I started out
In high school?
back in the early 2000s, they widened 95. So through about Central up to Northern Palm Beach County. It was a 20-mile project. And I started out on that and then transitioned. I've worked on over 1,000 road and bridge construction projects in Palm Beach County.
Okay.
And now I'm on the Jupiter Bridge. So as a Jupiter resident, it's been great to see something in my hometown, be completely replaced, reconstructed. And it's an amazing project.
Awesome. Thank you for widening the 95. Can you work on making it a couple lanes wider? Because it took a while to get up here this morning.
All right.
What's your experience been like managing communications for such a significant development? I mean, we're talking about an entire bridge replacement. Obviously, there is a lot going on and a lot of people want a lot of information. So what has that been like?
Construction's really unpredictable. So, the best laid plans, as they say. So it's been great dealing with the public. I especially have really strong ties as a Jupiter resident and have worked in the area for so long. So having those pre-established relationships with municipalities, stakeholders, business owners, residents, motorists, all of that. So, it's just really having open lines of communication and being consistent with putting out the information. We like to do monthly updates on what has been accomplished, what you can expect in the following month. And then, of course, as, things pop up, we send our updates out and just keep the public informed as best we can.
Yeah, residents like to know what is going on in their town at all times. I see it with city commission meetings that I attend in my own city.
Yes.
You miss one update and everybody's got their arms in the air and up in an uproar. Why don't you give us an overview of the bridge replacement project as a whole? What are some of the key milestones, key phases, and metrics that you're using, and where are we currently on the timeline?
Sure. So I'll start way back with the former bridge. So that was constructed in 1958. And so some people may remember it had 2 lanes in each direction, but there were not bike lanes or sidewalks. So basically it would open for boats as needed, and then you could drive, to and from Tequesta and Jupiter. But that was basically it. So it needed to be completely replaced. And what this new bridge is going to have when it's in its final configuration is 2 lanes in each direction, but also sidewalks in each direction, bike lanes in each direction, and also observation decks on top of the bridge. So
Very cool.
It's really, really neat. So you can go up, you can, take your coffee, go up there, check out the boats going by. It's beautiful. So it's going to be something that it changes the landscape of Jupiter and Northern Palm Beach County. And it's something that for decades to come, people are going to enjoy in the area.
Yeah, that Jupiter Inlet is certainly an anomaly for a lot of the inlets that we have especially on the east coast of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the beautiful, clear ocean water that we have, but then with our canal systems, a lot of times you go to a point like that, and like you're saying, there's going to be an observation deck. You're really not looking at the prettiest water if if you get the tide wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Jupiter, my goodness, the water there is always so crystal clear and gorgeous, and the marine life that you'd be able to see from a spot like that. That's I think they did a really good job with that planning.
Yeah. And one of my favorite pieces of the project is actually not on top of the bridge, it's underneath. So on the south side, they're building an observation deck and a walkway. So 1000 North, which is to the west side of the bridge, and then Utiki's a restaurant on the east side. There's going to be a walkway to connect the two.
No way.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Cool.
They're building it right now. So you can walk underneath, and then you can also walk out on the observation deck and look into the water there. So it's going to be really nice for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, I see there's lots of cameras down there underneath the water that you can watch the marine life that's going on underneath the or in that Jupiter Inlet. That's going to be a really cool new feature for all the residents in that area.
Yeah.
Not even the residents, but for the tourists too. Anybody who's heading up to visit those great restaurants that they have up by the inlet.
Yes, it's all about the connectivity and the mobility there, because you can, for instance, you've got Harborside to the south of that. So you could be at Harborside enjoying lunch. You could take the sidewalk up north. You can go under the bridge, like I said, cross over the bridge, go to the lighthouse, continue on to Tequesta. So it's just really going to add such a nice family friendly, accessibility feature for the area that everybody can enjoy.
Okay, I know that our realtor family is loving the words that are coming out of your mouth right now because anything that we could do to help us sell that lifestyle in that neighborhood. I mean, being able to tell one of our customers now, look you could have a home here, you can bike up to the restaurant, then you could take the bike across the beach and head to the other side and hit some more stuff.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So once that's completed, how will the new bridge improve the quality of life for local residents and visitors alike? I know that now we're going to be able to bike it and walk it, but what else is in the future?
It's also higher than it was before. So if you can think of, especially during our high season in the winter season, with sailboats and the openings, it's an on-demand bridge because it's at an inlet. So that's going to reduce the amount of openings that people have been used to in the past.
Sure.
And also for motorists, it's just going to save time in your commute or just even going to dinner or whatever it may be. There's going to be less bridge openings, which is a benefit.
So with that increase, is that going to be enough to fit sailboats underneath without having to open the bridge?
It just depends, So it's on demand, and it just depends on the size of the boat, really.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, how do projects like this one contribute to the broader vision and growth of the community and the community enhancement in Jupiter?
Jupiter is a beautiful place. I've lived in Jupiter and Tequesta area for 20 years. So it's funny, I was thinking about this just the other day. So I started out in Fort Lauderdale myself when I moved down in 2004. And I met my now husband in Fort Lauderdale, and I always envisioned moving south. That was kind of my plan. And then he had a job opportunity in Jupiter. And so I didn't know about the area. I wasn't familiar with it. I'd been to West Palm, but that was basically it. So we got in the car. It was New Year's Day, 20 years ago, drove up to Stewart and kind of took US 1 all the way down. And the second we hit the old bridge in Jupiter, I said, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I can totally see myself being happy and living here. And that was kind of a big selling point for me. And that was 20 years ago. So Jupiter is the same beautiful place. It's only gotten bigger and better. There's so many options for entertainment and dining and even residential. I mean, there's just been so many new developments. So having this new bridge that's safer, it's a beautiful structure. I mean, they've really put a lot of thought into the design and the aesthetics of the bridge.
Okay.
So just knowing that it's going to be there for decades to come, and it's, a safer bridge, it's accessible, it's only adding to the value of Jupiter.
So if people want to get an idea of what that bridge is going to look like, sort of what the parameters are as far as the height and everything like that, where can they go in order to find that information?
So we have a website. It's d4fdot.com. And we have all the projects that are going on in Palm Beach County, Southern Florida, really.
Okay.
South Florida, I should say. So, that website is great. We have a dedicated project page there. And then I have fact sheets and information sheets. I put out monthly project updates. So I'm happy to add anyone to my information list, my e-blast list, and provide any of those fact sheets. It has kind of like where we've come from, where we're at with the milestones, and what they can expect. But for right now, if you were to head over there and drive over the bridge right now, on New Year's Eve, and just about, a little over a month ago, we opened after over 20 months of being closed for a full reconstruction. And with a detour route, the bridge opened to one lane of traffic in each direction.
Okay.
So we have the western span of the bridge open while the eastern span is being completed. But what's nice is that it's not like the western span open and then they had to just start on the eastern. It was coming right behind it. So we had the other two lanes coming up this spring. They should be opening if everything goes to schedule, weather permitting and everything like that. And then right now we have the sidewalk open on the western span too. So you can drive over, you can walk over. And when the final configuration, which has 2 lanes in each direction, opens, that will have the bike lanes then striped as well. They needed extra room to do this temporary traffic shift. So it's accessible now. You can go up and check it out. When we opened, it was the afternoon on New Year's Eve, and immediately, droves of people came out, walked it, it was amazing to see the public embrace it as they did immediately. And so it's been an amazing experience to be part of, and just especially as a resident myself.
That must have been super excited for you to see all the work that has been going on actually start coming to fruition, and to do it on New Year's Eve. Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. And I really, you have to give so much credit to the crews that are on site. They still are 7 days a week to get this done. And it's pretty rare to have a bridge. Typically they try to keep a portion of it open so you still have accessibility. So this is a really unique project, and it's an iconic for Jupiter especially, it's something that we always had the lighthouse. Everyone knows the lighthouse, and it's in so many backgrounds of pictures, and many memories are made around the Jupiter Inlet. But now the bridge is going to be part of that as well.
Very cool. I always wondered why Jupiter was named Jupiter, and it was funny. I saw an old map from 18 something, and in this old map, you saw Jupiter Light was on the map. Jupiter, the town, was on the map, which was just, it's so tiny back then. And then just south of that, you had Venus and Mars. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so this is where it came from. It wasn't just, somebody said, oh, Jupiter, just came up with a random name. I don't know what happened to Venus and Mars. They're gone, but we still have Jupiter. Fantastic. So from a realtor perspective, do you think that this is going to make the area more desirable and possibly increase property values in Jupiter?
I mean, I'm biased as a resident.
Of course.
Jupiter is so beautiful. There's so much to do, beautiful parks, so many options, again, for dining, entertainment, all of that, and very family friendly. So this just enhances all of that. And again, with the connectivity there, as a parent myself, I have a 10 and 11-year-old, and we spend so many afternoons and nights at the Lighthouse soccer fields that are right there by the park. Okay. So for instance, on a Saturday, you can go to your soccer game and then, hey, let's go grab lunch and walk over the bridge, and let's go to that surf shop and check this out, or go grab a cup of coffee. It's going to be, people go there anyway, but now I think they'll spend more time there because they can access so many different places so much easier now.
Yeah, and you've got that gorgeous little park right there. My sister's been up there snorkeling several times, and she just moved to Florida 3 years ago. She just had her 3-year anniversary of being down here from the cold of Buffalo, New York. And that's like her favorite place to go. It's like, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, we're going up to Jupiter. I'm thinking to myself, we live right by the beach. Why don't you just hang out here? She said, no, you don't know Jupiter unless you go to Jupiter. So it certainly has quite the attraction. But now being able to walk that bridge and bike that bridge, I think is going to be an even greater selling point for all of our realtor members.
Definitely.
So selling South Florida is obviously what our realtors do best. Do you think that realtors can leverage this development when they're discussing the local market with their potential buyers and sellers? I think you've given us quite a few hints that, yes, that is a possibility. But
yes. Yeah. I mean, since we opened, a little over a month ago, again, that's been huge. The bridge was closed for over 20 months. And so the detour was about 2 miles. So it still was, as far as other bridges in the area go, it was a shorter detour, but it's still a big impact on businesses and residents. So to have the lanes open now and have that access, I mean, we're past the biggest, hurdle per se. So this year we have a lot of big milestones coming up. So again, we have 2 lanes open right now. Later this spring, we're going to have the other 2 lanes open. We still have a sidewalk open now. So it's accessible, that the detour is over for the most part. They're still going to have lane closures and nighttime closures to complete work. It's an active construction zone.
Sure.
And contract time runs through early 2026.
Okay.
So, but for the most part, I mean, it's accessible, and that's what we have. And it's only going to be, checking off all these milestones the rest of the year, opening the Riverwalk, opening the other side. So it's, like I said, the big hurdle we're over, and it's just completing the project and enjoying it.
So is this actually a project of FDOT, or was this a project of the city of Jupiter?
It's an FDOT project.
Okay. And why would it be FDOT and not the city of Jupiter?
It's a state.
A lot of people don't understand that.
It's a state road.
Okay. State road, and that's why.
Yes.
Perfect. And was that bridge, so you said it was from 1958, obviously an older structure, but was it an unsafe structure? And that's why FDOT said, we need to go and replace this? Or was it more of a community development type project?
It was in design for a long time, so that would probably be ideal for the designers to answer. But it was, I did work on projects before where they were, a road only lasts for so long, asphalt only lasts for so long. So 1958, it was, they were securing the pilings, they were doing things. So it just was time, and I think based on the determination of like the area they had to work with and what they had to do to either keep it open or just, demolish it and start over. It also is much quicker to do it that way, which of course, any project you just want to say, shut the road down and, we'll build it really quick, but you can't do that. You have to keep it open for the public. So in this instance, it's how it worked out, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, I actually live in a waterfront community down in Broward County in Pompano. And all of the bridges that were in that community were actually gifted to the county by the developer who built the neighborhood. So all of those bridges were back from the 50s, and they went through and took a look at all of them, and they're like, wait a minute, these aren't up to today's standards. You need to replace these bridges.
Yeah.
It was, they were literally construction roads, construction bridges just to get to, the equipment to get into to build the neighborhood itself. They were never meant to be permanent structures, I don't believe. So certainly that obviously time it comes with a lot of change and a lot of upgrading, especially
Yes.
when we've got growing communities like we do in South Florida.
Yes, and I think that's a great point is the safety of this bridge. It's state of the art, and something I want to mention, it's got a LiDAR detection system. So what that is you have the bridge tender house, which by the way is beautiful. It's that on its own is just it's really nice. It's the best view, of Jupiter, in my opinion, other than the lighthouse. Yeah. So a 360 view. So they can see, every which way of what's going on. However, if the bridge is opening, this LiDAR detection system, if it detects a pedestrian or a cyclist coming onto the bridge, it'll stop the bridge from going up. So that is something that is
Really cool.
really nice, very safe.
And we unfortunately have seen a couple of times, nothing recently, but certainly in years past, there have been some people who have had accidents on bridges that were going up.
So that's another, for me, that's a big selling feature of how safe this bridge is going to be.
Yeah, that's some great foresight.
Mhm.
So are there any innovative construction methods besides that LiDAR technology or sustainability practices that you guys are employing with that project?
That was a big one. And then also the environmental protection that they've done. So when so the project itself started in October of 2021. And they did not go in that month and demolish a bridge. They had to spend a lot of time preparing for the detour route because, to take on, for alternate A1A to take on all of those extra cars and everything for over, a little over 20 months. So there's a lot of pre-work they had to do before they demolished the bridge. So when they did, it started in March 2023. And rather than taking the old bridge and putting it in a landfill, they actually recycled that concrete. So
Very cool.
that was, very environmentally conscious. And then with the lighthouse, of course, it's such a historic feature. And, I believe it's 164 years old. So they had to wrap the lens of the lighthouse to make sure that it's the original lens. They protected the structures on the lighthouse grounds. As far as, when they do pile driving to go into the water there, they did that during the daytime hours to not disturb the sea life at night.
Sure.
And then now you can see at nighttime, even from afar, if you're driving over the alternate A1A bridge or you're on the bridge itself, you can see that the lights on the bridge have that amber hue, which is something to protect sea turtles.
Right.
Because they don't, the bright light.
It won't go towards that light.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's another feature. So and there's many more. So, happy to share that with you after the fact. But there's a lot of consideration for the public and the environment for this project.
I love that you guys have that consideration. I know in Broward County, they have ordinances. I'm pretty sure it's got to be most of Florida, all of Florida now, with those lights. So that way the sea turtles aren't being attracted to beachfront restaurants or beachfront condos or anything like that. So if you happen to be a visitor here or you've ever wondered why there's amber lights on the beach, especially during nesting season, that's why. It's so that the sea turtles aren't going to go towards the light like Carol Ann did. But yeah, that's awesome that you guys had the forethought to put those types of features in place to make sure that we're protecting the environment that we all love so much here in South Florida.
Yes, and even that bridge height, it's again, it's not going to be opening as much, so the boats can go right under, cars can go right over, so you're not idling and wasting your gas essentially doing that. So
wow, awesome. Okay, well, I know that you are busy. We need to let you get back to your office and keep working on that bridge. But we ask all of our guests to tell us about a hidden gem in Florida that you'd like to share with our listeners and our viewers. It could be a local dive bar, a beach spot, park, restaurant, whatever. I know that there's plenty to see and do up in Jupiter. But what's your Florida gem that you love so dearly?
It's hard. It's really hard to choose. There's so much going on, especially around the bridge. So if you don't mind, I have a couple, but I'll do.
Yeah,
so,
go for
okay.
it. Go for it. We've got time.
So two, they're not really hidden gems. People know a lot about them. But one of my favorites on the south side of the bridge is Jetty's. It's a classic Jupiter restaurant. It's directly across from the lighthouse. It's beautiful. So we spend a lot of time there as a family. Family dinners. I was there last Friday night. So that's one of my favorites. But
Nobody said that one before. What kind of food?
really, it's classic, steak, fish, all type of things. It's just a classic kind of bistro.
Okay.
Vibe, but it's just, you feel like you're in Florida. It's a nice, calming, relaxing.
It's got the vibe.
It's got the vibe.
Okay.
It's very nice. So it's been around for a long time, but it's a classic. But it's just the view of the lighthouse, and then you can see the bridge. It's beautiful. But on the other side, the lighthouse itself, and obviously everyone knows about the lighthouse, but I can say, for one, I never climbed the lighthouse until a couple years ago. So it took me, 16 years of living in town. You drive by it all the time and you think, I'm going to go over there, or I'll go,
Yeah.
and you don't sometimes. And so with my kids, they were like, let's climb the lighthouse. And I was like, I cannot believe I have not done this yet. And since I've been multiple times on field trips, on whatever.
Right.
But I think for guests and residents, I think sometimes you can take that for granted. Sorry. So going out, visiting the grounds, checking out the museum, going up into the lighthouse to get that view, definitely do that if you haven't done it, rather than just driving by it.
Were you amazed by how huge the crystals are on that light itself?
Yes.
My goodness.
And that's what they had to wrap. So it had to go dark for months, for this project to protect that lens. So
Wow.
It's really, it's fascinating. So those are typical, but there's also something that I think, like I said, if you haven't done it, definitely put it on your to-do list. But my hidden gem is one of my favorite restaurants. It's actually one of my favorite plazas. It's south of the bridge on Indiantown Road, just west of the Intercoastal. And I believe it's called Fisherman's Wharf. The shop's at Fisherman's Wharf. But there's a wine and sushi restaurant in there called Two Vines. It's my favorite. What's cool about it is you feel like you're in an art gallery. There's, crazy, funky art all over the wall. And there's couches you can sit at or regular tables. But it's also family friendly. So they have sushi. They have different... like my kids can get a burger there or some pizza, but then we can get pad thai and sushi.
Some adult food.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite spots to go. And then right next door, there's home decor shops that are locally owned, boutiques. So I love to go there, grab lunch, go shopping. So that's my kind of like hidden gem plaza that I love to frequent very often.
Okay, we've got some Jupiter brokers right now that are trying to recruit you to be a realtor because you've got like all the hot spots in Jupiter right now. Certainly sell being in Jupiter. I am going to take a drive up, see why my sister loves Jupiter so much, and I'm going to go and hit some of your hot spots.
Okay, do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the insight on what's happening with that Jupiter Bridge, and congratulations, because it seems like this has been a labor of love that's been a long time coming, and really cool to see that it's all coming to fruition.
Yeah, it's really special. And of course, we want to thank the community and our, partners, our stakeholders, the municipalities. Everyone's been a great partner for the project. So tomorrow, I'll be at an event for the town of Jupiter talking about our projects. And it's nice to have that connection with the public. So we really thank everyone for their patience during the detour, of course. And now that we all get to,
They weren't being patient.
now we can celebrate it together. So we'll just keep moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
One last thing. You had mentioned that people can get on your mailing list for updates. How do they do that?
They can just, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text. I can provide my contact information. But again, the D4, it's just the letter D, the number 4, FDOT.com. If you scroll down to Northern Palm Beach County on the homepage, it'll say the US 1 Jupiter Bridge Replacement Project.
Okay.
Click on that and my contact information is right there.
Okay, awesome. Easy to find. D4FDOT.com. And that's all we have for you guys this morning. Thank you, Meredith, for being with us. And we will see you guys right back here next week on RWorld Talk.